Today we're going to talk about a wonderful SDG that is number 15, Life on Land, and we have a wonderful guest. I'm going to introduce him in a few minutes, but now I just want to say hi to Radia, that is our co-host. She's been our co-host for the past 16 days already, and she's going to give us a introduction about what is an SDG, what we are doing here. So, Radia, thanks for being here. Good morning, sunshine. Good afternoon.
Good morning, good morning, good morning from New York City. Good morning, Mexico. Good afternoon, New York City, and of course, my East Coast friends. And of course, hello to the world. Very excited for today's show. If you have joined us for the last couple of weeks, you would know a little bit about us and what we're doing, but I usually like to start the show by creating a little context. So we understand why we're all here, what Build and Blaze is doing, what are the SDGs anyway. So let's start out with Build and Blaze. So of course, as Mayra said, I'm a theorist and futurist, founder of the organization. And over the last 5 years, I have been studying a theory that I found very interesting. But I'll back off and first say what Build and Blaze is. Build and Blaze is an organizational strategy firm. We have, since 2012, focused on U.S. at how the fourth technologies have impacted organizations in the 21st century. So my exponential theory, what you see behind me, was a result further into how technology is impacting strategy. What I found was what had looked like a disruption was really more like humans and machines evolving, creating machines with But what I think has been different about the last 50 years is that machines have become more intelligent. They have become a very integral part of the relationship in my mind. What was initially us, the humans, using them, the machines, the tools, X machine, and therefore evolved with machine of human and machine. More on that later. But today we are talking SDG 15. The first question, of course, is what does that have to do with the SDG? In my mind, I think the exponential human, the X-human, because it's so much knowledge, so much information, so much power in the guise of machines that it allows us to have a digital realm didn't really have, and on and on. Have to do the SDGs. The SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 goals in total, and they were adopted by the United Nations in 2015. So those are the nations that belong to the United Nations. Completely. There were no countries that said, no, we wouldn't adopt this. Everybody adopted them. And the idea is the Sustainable Development Goals come in as the world's greatest challenges. So I thought that in a year, General Assembly, just on the 17th of September, and the Secretary General was defining year for the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. That was the genesis of this show. The idea was we started on the 17th of September to make people aware of these goals, then to spend 17 days going through each goal. So that's what we've done. Starting to hunger, SDG 3, I always get that wrong, is and well-being. SDG is gender equality. 6 is, so I'm going to cheat. 7 is affordable and clean energy. 8 is decent work and economic growth. 9 is very close to us, Build and Blaze. It's industry, innovation, and industrialization. I think it's the cities one. Yes. Responsible consumption and production. Help. Yesterday we did 14, which is life below water, which is life on land. And we have a biologist, a full-fledged biologist, which I'm really, I hated physics. But we have somebody who actually made it, became a biologist, and can talk to us about life on land. But before we get to him and all the cool stuff he can tell us about, I want to start with what is SDG 15? What do you mean by life on land? Us reduce or stop every. What is our global ecosystem? It's about the little blue dot for days. The little blue dot is everything we humans know. Mars, as far as we know, can't handle our species yet. And we don't know of any planet that can. So, what does that mean? Well, deforestation, no good. Land degradation, no good. Loss of our crucial animal and plant species, no good. Why? Because we need these species. We need to coexist in, they say, no man is an island, no human. Into the targets and all of that, I wanted to just talk about this ecosystem, this home of ours, because that's yesterday we talked about life below water. We need each other. But today we're talking about us and what we're doing on land. So let's talk a little bit about targets. I like to start with the targets and then throw it over to Mayra so that she can introduce our guest. That's next year. The target was to have sustainable use of terrestrial and all their services, particularly most people, that's goobly-goop. But it isn't goobly-goop because we eat as a result of, breathe as a result of, in essence, that we're going to talk about today. Promote sustainable management of. We just literally had our oxygen comes from the Amazon, and we just had it burning in a frightening passion. We could literally see I was running out of air. I was like hitting my chest and stuff. To restore degraded forests and reduce the degradation of natural habitats. That's important. Halting that loss of biodiversity, because I think a lot of people don't understand what it means when you take one creature, changes that ecosystem, or when you add in an alien creature, like in the United States, for example, what do they call alligators, where aggressive creatures that they've taken over a certain, don't really know them very well because they're not natural to that area, just because people have them alligator got big. How shocking. I didn't realize alligators will get big. So I think what I'll do is throw them into the environment and turn this into the alligator in the States. So I'll go further into, but let me and get this conversation started. Thank you.
Thank you, Radia. Thank you very much for this introduction. I'm going to introduce our guest for today. His name is Alain Zúñiga, and he's the director at CEO at Ecopil, Arte, Crea, Conciencia. And I'm going to say this: Ecopil, Arte is art in English, Crea is create, and Conciencia is consciousness. Plus, he works with biodiversity and the environment.
Yes.
So, as you were saying, Radia, we have to coexist species, ecosystems, and humans. Today we are with a biologist, and let me introduce him, and I'm gonna let him tell us for being here, Luis.
My name is Alain. And Ecopil is a civil organization in Mexico dedicated to the development of communities and how do you say la manera de trabajo?
The way we work.
The way we work is fund the projects for investigation and education policy, and later we work most of the time with young people, empowerment the people in the communities in Mexico, sobre todo in Hidalgo and state of Mexico, and we work in because I think it's very important impact. For example, for me, it's the most important part of the development, sustainable development. We focus in forests, we focus in young people, we focus in investigation. It's more important in participative investigation. For me, it's very important involucrate to all the community, but the young people is my focus.
Okay, Luis, and I want to ask this in Spanish, and then I want to translate. Para un biólogo, es el trabajo de sus sueños. Ser maestro de biología es aplicar como toda el conocimiento que tienes respecto a esto y poder hacer algo respecto al cambio climático que estamos viendo el día de hoy. I'm just going to say this very quick in English. So I'm asking him, like, as a biologist, this should be his dream work, because I used to know biologists, and some of them, they just were like teachers. But nowadays, we actually need a biologist to become an entrepreneur and to change the way we are doing things outside in the land, in the ecosystem. So I'm asking Luis, what is his challenge with this, and what is his biggest challenge?
Yeah, Radia, I speak in Spanish, and Mayra, traduce me, please. Bueno, como en México el principal problema, el principal reto es hacer entender a las personas el valor de la biodiversidad y involucrar a los ejidos. No es tan difícil involucrar a los ejidos porque ellos tienen las ganas de conservar sus tierras, pero las malas políticas públicas en México impiden muchas veces tierras ejidales, ¿no?
Is to get people aware of the biodiversity, and it's not that hard to involve communities, local communities and growers, but the public policies in Mexico are really bad, and we have to make the government and the politicians to be known that and also the growers to know that the land is really important. Yes. I mean, it's the most important thing.
Ha desarrollado a lo largo de 8 años de trabajo un modelo de comunidades con la biodiversidad y que nos van a permitir la investigación, la educación, los sistemas por medio de producción.
We have already a 80 years old model that basically looks to save these environments that we are already losing, and we are trying to do this through alliances and through investors that believe that this part of saving basically the lands and the ecosystem is the most important thing.
Yes. Importantísimo, pero para conservar los ecosistemas debes de mostrar lo que.
So what we basically believe is education is our second goal in this work, because if people is not educated and have the knowledge about the ecosystems, they don't help. So what we do is show them each part of the ecosystem.
Yes.
That I believe is the animals, the plants, the bio. Once they know the ecosystem, they are ready to go with us.
Yes. Poder mostrar a las personas la importancia de la biodiversidad. Mostrar a las personas que se vuelvan lo que nosotros denominamos y muchas organizaciones en México denominan científicos.
And then I'm going back to you, Radia. So in order to educate, and we are trying to create a persona that is called the scientific citizens, right?
Citizen science.
Citizen science.
Yes.
So we do give this investigation and this knowledge. So they have this knowledge and they can act as a scientist,
yes.
But they are citizens. So let me go back to you, Radia, because I'm sure you have a lot of things to say about how Ecopil works and how they re-educate these people to get involved into what it.
I do, and thank you. That was so. Organizations like Ecopil, for example, Luis, with what you do with Ecopil, I understand that there is a challenge. They can seek to address that. The show, I talked a little bit about the ex-human, and I talked about my theory of human coevolution with machine. Concept of the ex-human and the ex-machine, of citizens of science partnering with the quote-unquote everyday knows that with my theory of ex-human, I shy away from this concept, and I am actually quite interested in how us humans now co-evolving with machines utilize that power to make the world a better place. I'm far more interested in that. And that's what these SDG conversations are about. And I think it's really interesting that you are creating to help citizens be semi-scientists, if you will, if I understand, on behalf of the environment, particularly. So empowering knowledge and giving enough knowledge that we can pick our own passion, right? Yes, my passion environment is handled in my own area. One thing you talked about, which is government, very informed nor very interested in biodiversity. And I find that to be the case. It almost feels like a moral issue. It feels like for whatever to do well, they've got to progress. On top of every forest. Let's have, like Mayra said the other day, one more mall. One versus a natural journey. Humans, in essence, when we think that way, are undermining, betraying the very earth that we need to build things that are reminiscent of us and not so much of nature. And I don't think that this is, certainly don't think this is the case for these powerful information. They're not equipped with the knowledge of the species loss, of the it's like even desertification, right? When we're getting deserts where there wasn't desert before. You look in India, I was saying this the other day, there's now a place in India where people can't live because it's too hot, too dry, etc. We cannot have further and further away from lands that we have historically counted on, etc., is that you are taking this big challenge and you are dividing it. I don't know if you guys are using social media. What I call the global hive, this digital space where we right now and having a conversation that is Mexico-US without having to cross boundaries. This digital space is a great space to place to be able to say to people wherever they are, here I'm arming about adopt an SDG. If people have an interest in SDG, science is giving them an opportunity to make a change. So that's kind of my thinking.
Thank you.
In Mexico exist different types of platforms. These platforms connect the people with the biodiversity, use technology for this. The technology and the innovation, it's mixed in this process. For example, the iNaturalist platform and eBird platform, it's very easy to use. You can use this cell phone and pick the shot the photo, and the animal up to the web. And the community of naturalists identify this animal or this plant, and with this action, the people convert scientific. With this platform, the people convert to citizen science. For example, Mayra take a photo to the garden. No conoce el nombre de la planta.
Don't know the name of the plant.
Red y la comunidad de naturalistas, que son personas que nos gusta la naturaleza, puede identificar esta planta. Eso funciona para generar catálogos, por ejemplo, para generar listados. Porque va a haber una participación ciudadana y va a haber también un conocimiento científico basado en evidencia real de lo que existe.
Okay, so what he said again what he said in English, but it's like you go on the website on this platform, you take a picture, you upload it because the name of the plant. We provide the information about this plant. I imagine, or scientists that they know already like everything about ecosystems. Mm-hmm. So what knowledge, not information, but the name of this plant, the years it's been there, like the weather, like all the information you need to know, but you can get as a knowledge, so you know better your ecosystems and you can work better. And all information gives you data, like all together, it gives you data so you can make better policies.
Yes.
In your
is an institution to promote this type of tools, and the Conavio formed a body of the people. We love the nature, and these people, in Spanish, excuse me, nos reunimos y tenemos capacitación por parte de esta institución en México para que conformemos una gran red de naturalistas que ayudan a involucrar a las personas en investigación y en mecanismos de educación que te van a permitir de restauración de ecosistemas.
Okay, so what he was basically saying is they also reunite through Conavio, that is a organization. Mm-hmm. They reunite to observe these ecosystem and also workshops, so they can build a net and then they can give advice to regular citizens. To give people advice, so they can, people as us, we can reconnect or rebuild our ecosystems.
Yes. Y eso va a funcionar para que tú puedas participar en órganos consultivos a nivel con datos que ya existen y permite que la misma ciudadanía pues de recomendación.
I'm going back to you with this, Radia, because this is about citizens make make information by taking these pictures and sending it in these platforms. Then they get all this info from the platform and have better ways to say to different levels. Is this because I've been collected all this information from the citizens. So these citizens, maybe they think they are not doing anything, but basically they are creating a huge data saying like, look, in Mexico City, we have these species and these plants. Maybe they don't know because, as you were saying, climate is, and maybe as a biologist you don't know everything, but basically what we are doing as a society is complete a data so they can use it for for international or maybe local summits.
Sí, por ejemplo, cuando tú encuentras en tu región alguna especie que está protegida o cuando tú encuentras en tu región alguna especie invasora, que vas a emitir, digamos, es una alerta de lo que está pasando. Si yo como ciudadano tomo una foto de eso, Mayra otra foto y Radia otra foto, y encontramos una conectividad, nos va a dar idea de qué está pasando y nos va a servir para una planeación territorial.
Okay, and the last thing I'm going to say is and there is also this platform is used if you are like seeing a species that is not regularly there. So you take a picture there, so they can have a better ways to work on that territorial case. So let me go back to you because this is really interesting. Is how can we all as a society make a lot of information so specialists as Luis can do something better with this?
I was excited. There's a piece of this that got me very say that they can notify you, people local area that they don't think is endemic of their local area. We've run out of time, but what I would like to say, Luis, if you are open to it, we would love to have you back. We would love to do a piece, and I would love for us to help you introduce it to a different set of become aware of how they can, particularly if they decide they want to life on land and they care about that. I would love for you to come back and we can hang out a little bit deeper and talk a little more about what you're doing and see how much we can. I love it. I love not just I talk a lot not enough knowledge. And I love this building of a database that gives you the exact opposite, a whole lot of knowledge. For me, it kind of feels a little like this vast data source. And as you know, you may or may not know, Wikipedia has taken over something like an Encyclopedia Britannica, which used to be the way we got information. I remember my father always had all those books, all the volumes at home, and would change them out every 2 to 3 years. I don't remember how many years, but it took years online and quickly go into Wikipedia thing world and bringing us into it. So would love to have you back, but I guess we're 2 minutes past the interesting space to delve into. I want to delve more. This is the person and super interested to get to know a little bit more about what you guys do. But again, thank you for spending the again.
Thank you, Radia. Pues, ¿tienes alguna conclusión para?
En ciencia ciudadana va a permitir detonar proyectos de cooperación internacional, por ejemplo, porque y entonces conectar los ecosistemas por medio de productividad. Ese es el gran reto después. Las personas ya están empoderadas, ya conocen lo que existe, pero ahora, ¿cómo va sin que haya hacer sus necesidades? Lo que necesitas después es involucrar a todas las partes que tienen estas especies representativas para que generen proyectos productivos y que involucren la tecnología. Y para eso este círculo virtuoso debe de cerrarse con inversión de personas, impulsando que el gobierno se involucre un poco más.
In power, and we need to keep this going. Getting these old people together and getting all this data, and also we need to integrate people in study in species migration.
Yeah.
And also the last point Luis said is, how do we as a society, as citizens, species but also make a productive
productividad basada en economías a partir de la conservación de los ecosistemas.
Okay, so basically he's trying to say, like, we need to make a productivity from these ecosystems. So basically it's like, I find ecosystem, maybe it's dying, and I'm going to help it. But how do I help this ecosystem, but also how do I make profit from it?
Yes.
So it's like, I help this ecosystem, but I also make profit from this. So in that way, we all win something, and the ecosystems don't die, and we get. And I'm just going to finish with this, because we do think, like, in order to get a developed country, we need to end up with all the trees and birds and plants are in there.
Mm-hmm.
But how if we build a mall, for example, we build a mall, but we don't have to deforest all the trees, for example.
Okay.
Or maybe we find a way, the plants. This is kind of interesting of what Ecopil is doing. Thank you very much, Luis. We are running out of time. Thank you, Radia, and thank everybody to listen to us once again. Remember to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We are at Build a Place TV.